is the gentleman from Texas, Mr. Gohmert, for 5 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you, Attorney General Lynch. Appreciate your being here. I cannot let the statement of my colleague go unrebutted. To say the death of 5 police officers just happened and that we on this side of the aisle think that's not important is an outrage. It is simply an outrage. I won't say that actually if my colleague had his way, then everybody would be as disarmed in around the country as they are in Chicago and in Washington, D.C., and we would be losing thousands more of precious black lives in America. But we're here in the wake of 5 police officers being killed, and that is a huge deal. And having spent much of my adult career working with law enforcement, it's a huge deal to me. And I know from the law enforcement officers I talk to, they want to make sure that others are not above the law. Now, Chairman Goodlatte had asked you about the recommendation, and you talked about the briefing team, and you said you saw no reason not to accept the recommendation of the team. How much time did you spend reading the recorded testimony of Hillary Clinton from that 3.5-hour interview?
Congressman, I'm not going to go into the particulars of my briefing, except to say that...
No, this is just your own personal... Did you go through in detail all of the statements she made in that 3.5-hour interview?
Congressman, as I've indicated previously, my role that I had decided earlier was that I would be speaking and meeting with the team who had done that substantive in-depth work for over a year, that had worked on this matter, that had compared the facts and the evidence. Now, you've said that several times, Attorney General, and I don't have enough time to have you keep repeating that 4 more times. But when Chairman Goodlatte asked you about the statute and whether it includes the term gross negligence, you made an improper statement. You said discussion of the statute would require discussion of the facts. That's not true. From my years of judging on the bench, your comment that discussion of the statute would require discussion of the facts, when he asked you about an element that's contained in the statute, Attorney General, that really sounds like an answer somebody would give who hadn't read the statute and was looking for a dodge to avoid talking about a statute with which they're not familiar. You are aware, and this doesn't require any discussion of any facts whatsoever, but you are aware that in 18 U.S.C. 793F, gross negligence is an element of the offense. Are you not? Congressman, I refer you to my statement that you just commented on with respect to
Okay, well, if you're not going to answer the question, I'm afraid you may be reinforcing it.
Question to me was the meaning of a phrase.
Now, you said there was no basis not to
manner.
accept the recommendation of our team, but you've given no indication whatsoever that you did any independent reading of the evidence, of the statements. Was Hillary Clinton's statement even recorded?
Congressman, I'm not going to discuss the specifics of that. The FBI has provided extraordinary clarity and insight.
Okay, well, if you're not going to answer the question, then let's move on. But I find it extraordinary that after a 3.5-hour interview, so quickly a recommendation is made. So there are inquiring minds that are very intelligent that have said, wow. It almost sounds like on that plane somebody said, look, if you just tell Hillary to come in, we're wrapping up, but we got to be able to say that we interviewed her. It won't be recorded, so she'll be good. It sounded like it was a check the box. You're familiar with Scooter Libby's case and Martha Stewart's case. I know it was well before you came to office, correct? You remember they were prosecuted for making a false statement when the FBI and the Justice Department couldn't make the case they started out. You remember that?
One in New York and I believe one here.
Right.
Here meaning DC,
and so that's a pretty common instrument to be used. If someone makes a statement somewhere inconsistent in what they tell the FBI, that itself becomes a matter of prosecution. And I am shocked
I thought it would be weeks before an answer could be made, but it looks like to do a 3.5-hour interview, you haven't reviewed the facts, you reviewed the team recommendation, and I would just encourage you, Attorney General, your oath was not to follow the recommendation of some team. Your oath is your own responsibility to our Constitution and those that are working under you. My time's expired.